Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Dr. Delatorro here, and I want to talk to you from my book, Thriving Through Your Storms, 12 Profound Lessons to Help You Grow Through Anything You Go Through in Life. And one of the things that we know is, especially post-pandemic, y'all, we have gone through a lot as a society and as a world. And it hasn't been easy. Just in the United States alone, we lost over 1 million people in 2021 due to COVID-19. And so I wanted to talk to you from chapter 6 of my book, Thriving Through Loss. And I remember when I wrote this book, I'd finished all the chapters, and then unfortunately my mom passed. And when she passed, before I published the book, I knew that I had to write a chapter to help people learn how to thrive through loss. Because up until that point, I had not lost anyone that was super, super close to me like my mother. And I talk about my mom in every speech. I talk about her in every workshop, in every interview that I ever do, at any training. I always talk about the amazing lessons that Olivia B. McNeal taught me. So I love my mom very much. And I remember when she passed. And so if at the time of this broadcast, it's been almost 10 years. Definitely it's been over 9.5 years since she's been gone. And I've had some of the most amazing years of my career in speaking. And my mom hasn't been physically present to be a part of that, and I know she's so proud of me, but it was a significant loss when I lost my mother. So if you've gone through any form of loss of a loved one, my heart goes out to you, and I will definitely pray for you, because I know what it's like to have to thrive through loss. But I do want to share a few thoughts with you that I really believe will help you as you thrive through the adversity of losing a loved one. People say that time heals, and I believe that time helps, but you have to learn to live with that loss, right? And so my mom passed away April 30th, 2013, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, here in Tampa. And me and my older brother Michael were caregivers for my mom for a number of years, and my brother, I traveled extensively, so my brother did the lion's share of the caregiving. They lived together. And but I remember we had both taken a break from being at the skilled nursing facility, go home to change clothes and just kind of refresh and go back. And while we went home to change clothes and reset and refresh, we got a call from Tampa General saying, you gotta come here. Your mom doesn't have much longer to live. And by the time we got to the hospital, she was gone. And so I know what it's like to have to thrive through loss. And since my mom's passed, I've counseled and coached a ton of people through this process. And so I just want to share a few thoughts with you from the book, Thriving Through Your Storms, chapter 6, that I believe will be a blessing to you. When you're grieving, don't try to be strong. Be authentic instead. Don't try to be strong and, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not fine. Oh, I'm good. You're not good. Don't try to be strong. Try to be as authentic as you can with how you really feel, right? Because the more present you are with your feelings and emotions, and you actually authentically process through the feeling and the emotion, the better off you'll be on the other side. But if you constantly ignore the message and the signal that the feeling is trying to send to you, it's just going to cycle itself back around until you deal with it. But every time it cycles around, it gets more intense and more intense and more intense, right? Have you ever noticed in life that the more you ignore something, it only gets heavier until you address it, right? The same is true with grief. So don't try to be strong because other people want you to be strong and other people tell you to be strong. Be authentic. That's number one. Be authentic with how you feel. Allow other people to love and support you. That's really, really important. I think a lot of times when we go through loss or we go through something, we kind of go inward sometimes, and we don't allow well-meaning people to really be there for us, right? And sometimes we don't even know how to articulate what we need in the moment, right? But do the best you can to allow people to be there for you, cook for you, help you, support you, be physically present. with you, right? Come stay a few days at your house, or a week or a month, or take a trip or a vacation, right? Allow people who want to support you to support you. I think that's so, so very important when you're going through the loss of a loved one. Number 3 is huge, and it takes some perspective to deal with this one. Focus on your loved one's gain rather than your loss. I'll say that one again. Focus on your loved one's gain rather than solely focusing on what you lost. Here's what I mean by that. I know for a fact that my mom had a lot of physical ailments, and she was in pain a lot as she was living on this earth, right? Especially the last few years of her life on this earth. And so one of the things that I had to do in my mind was when she transitioned and she went to heaven, I had to say, listen, and that's my belief. Everybody's got a different belief, and that's cool. But when my mom transitioned, and I believe that she's with the Father in heaven, when she transitioned, I focused on, man, she's no longer in pain. She doesn't have to take medications anymore. She doesn't have to constantly be picked and prodded on at the hospital. She doesn't have to go through dialysis anymore. She doesn't have to go through the heart, the challenges that she was having with her heart. She didn't have to go through any of those things anymore. Nothing painful. She was completely out of pain. And the more I focused on what my mother gained, being in heaven, being able to celebrate with all her other ancestors that went before her, and roller skating down them streets of gold, right? And my mom was a Christian, so my mom believed in the Lord Jesus and taught me to do the same. And so to know that she could actually finally spend time with her Maker, and I know how much that meant to her and means to her. I focused on my mom's gain and not so much my loss. And that helped me going through the grieving process. So maybe you could think through how your loved one is gaining through their transition versus focusing exclusively on what you lost. One of the things that I also really believe is important is that we send our loved ones home first class. I think me and my brother really, we spared no expense to make sure that our mother was sent home first class. And I know, when I say no expense, I'm not saying we spent millions on her funeral. It was nothing remotely close to that. But we did make sure that we put all the elements into her homegoing that would allow us to feel a sense of she was ushered into her next phase of life with excellence. And I think that matters, right? So do everything that you can to go all out. And I'm not saying spend a lot of money, but put a lot of thought and creativity and intentionality into how you send your loved one into the next phase of life that they're going to experience. I think that's important. When a loved one passes, a lot of times we deal with a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. If I would have known he or she was going to go, I would have done this differently. I would have done that differently. So I want you to take a quick moment and give yourself a break and realize that you did the best you could. You did the best you could with the knowledge and information that you had. You did the best you could. I could have easily said, man, I wish I wasn't as busy as a speaker. I wish I wasn't on the road as much when my mom was going through some of her health challenges. But I know my mom wanted me on the road. She wanted me out there making it happen, making an impact, speaking, teaching, coaching, training. She wanted me out there. There were so many times I said, Mom, I can cancel my next gigs for the next 2 months and be home. She's like, don't you cancel nothing. You give me energy and life when you're out there. You give me joy when you're out there doing what God's called you to do. That's how I raised you to go out and go do that. So don't you come back from nothing early. Does that make sense? So it freed me up from the shoulda, coulda, wouldas when I realized that I did the best that I could. And I honored her even when she was alive. I always talked about her in my speeches and presentations because she was an amazing speaker. And when my mom used to travel with me sometimes, so I would actually give her 5 minutes on the microphone. Man, she would tear the place apart. I'm like, give me my microphone back, Mom. Listen, I hope this is helping you guys. Fire off in the comments if it's blessing you, right? One more tip I'll share with you. Get the book to get the rest and get the audio book on Audible. Know that each day you're going to get a little stronger, but still give yourself grace for the moments. I'm going to say that again. Know that each day you're going to get a little bit stronger, but give yourself grace for the moments. And what I mean by moments is, I don't care how long it's been. There's going to be moments where you're going to be reminded of that loved one. It's going to hurt and you're going to be emotional, and allow that emotion to come through. Allow that emotion, the motion of that emotion, to come through you. All right? If it's tears, let it be tears. If it's journaling, let it be journaling, right? If it's a moment, if someone smells like that person, if they look like that person that you lost, know that you're going to get stronger every day, but give yourself grace for those moments, because they're going to happen. And the last thing I'll say is try the best that you can to find some life-giving, inspirational thing that you can do to channel the love that you had for that person into some life-giving, whether it's a nonprofit or a foundation or a project, or if they always wanted to write a book, you could help get their book finished. Or, in other words, steer some of that grief and pain and into something that's life-giving, whether it's a scholarship foundation, whether it's giving money to deserving people, whether it's some form of recognition for other people who have struggled with the same challenge or disease. Find a way to create a life-giving outcome from this person's transition. And I think if you do that, you'll really, really get some massive value. And there's an exercise that's in the book that I really believe will help you. And it's a journaling exercise where you get a chance to reflect on the gratitude that this person has brought to your life by answering questions like, right now I'm so grateful because your loved one, fill in their name, taught me how to blank, showed me how to fill in the blank, told me to always fill in the blank, reminded me that fill in the blank, protected me from fill in the blank, developed qualities in me like fill in the blank, made me laugh so hard when they fill in the blank, reminded me how awesome life is when they fill in the blank. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of really beautiful opportunities for you to journal in this book about the positive impact that your loved one had on your life. Listen, I just wanted to shoot this video, and if you're watching this and you haven't lost someone, then please share this with someone who has. I really believe it will help them to thrive through their storms. Listen, if this has touched you in a special way, just send us a quick text message. Text the word SHIFT to 647-558-9895. Text the word SHIFT to 647-558-9895. I hope this has shifted the way you've processed the grief and the challenges that come along with life transition. None of us made it to this earth without being born, and none of us will leave this earth without dying. So it's a part of life, but it's a challenging part of life. So I hope that you've gotten some great value out of this. Listen, know that I am somewhere around the planet believing for your ultimate success. And like and subscribe, share this broadcast, fire off in the comments, and let me know what this video means to you. I appreciate you guys so much. God bless. We'll talk soon.